It's January 2020. Are you the same writer you were in January 2019? What are you going to be in January 2021? Let's talk about that this episode 117 of Horrible Writing.
That will never work. You can't push us. Seriously?
Don't.
Oh my God, that's another thing you can do. That's bad. You probably should find other hobbies. You ever learn how to talk? Stop. Quit while you're Don't bother me. I've seen better people. Do you really want to And my third grade, get up.
Welcome to Horrible Writing, the rawest, most candid, in-your-face writing show on the interwebs because none of us have time to suck. Let's do this. Hey everybody, Paul Sadane, your host for Horrible Writing. I hope this finds you well. So, again, second episode of the month, the last one of the month, because we're going to this new schedule of just 2 releases per month instead of weekly. To those of you who have written and expressed your gratitude and appreciation, thank you very much. I appreciate the support and the kind words. But it's still a decision I'm sticking by. Hey, folks, I got to focus on fiction, right? It's all about those priorities. And the priorities are books, and more books. Got to get them out because guess what? Unemployment doesn't last forever if you live in America because we've got a great system set up here. So I'm either going to be stocking shelves over at Wally World or going to try my hand at books, and guess which one I'm going to, at least for now, try. And then if it all fails, I'll take my vast experience and my multiple degrees and get a job where I'm underpaid, underappreciated, and hate waking up every morning. But not today. What do we tell unemployment? Not today. The Game of Thrones fans will get that. If you're not a Game of Thrones fan, you'll never understand what in the world I just did. All right. So in the Horrible Writing writer support group over on Facebook, if you're not there, why? We've got voice actors. We've got book cover designers now. We have amazing people in that group, in addition to the authors and aspiring authors in that group. That's the one place to be. Okay, I'm going to be real. Besides 20 books to 50K, that one, if you're an indie author, is a must group to belong to. But besides them, you need to be in Horrible Writing because we pull back the onion and we make you cry. No, that's not why. We're just real. Empowerment through candor. Now remember the theme for this year? Perfect 2020 writing vision. We have to be working on it, on our SMART goals. Remember, S-M-A-R-T. Go Google it, SMART goals. And we've got to develop those. We've got to start holding ourselves accountable. We've got to stop saying, I'm tired. I'm too tired to write after work. Then get up earlier. I'm not a morning person. So what? The book's not going to write itself, so pick one. Either you caffeinate at 6 o'clock at night to punch through your evening when you're mentally exhausted, and you do it because some people can, and Jay Boyer can write at night. Don't know how. She writes late, too. Or, like me, you get up at stupid hours of the morning when the rest of the world is still sleeping. You miss things at night that you'd rather be doing. Oh, well, right? Where are our priorities? Where are our goals and where do our behaviors match those goals? Are we committed to our plan? What plan, Paul? I haven't written it down. Oh, you need to go listen to episode 115 again then. We've got to do these things. So in that group, I asked everybody last month, are you the same writer today as you were last year at this time? And I want to share some of their stories. I want you to know that you're not alone. This ain't easy, folks. It's in solitude. Just you and all those damn voices in your head. Your friends think it's stupid. You need to get a real job. Your spouse thinks it's stupid and you need to get a real job. Your parents tell you to grow up. Stop being a dreamer. These are things that are said to creatives because people don't get it. It's not that they're not creative. Everybody's creative. It manifests itself in different ways, but everybody is creative. The thing is they're afraid. They were beaten and choked by fear, and they don't want to do it. That's why. And they're going to talk you down because seeing you succeed, seeing you even chase your goals, scares the hell out of them because it reminds them that they're not. They didn't have the courage to do those scary things. You don't think right now, entering my October, November, December, January, February, my 5th month of unemployment, you don't think I'm not scared as hell? My benefits run out next month. If I don't find something quick, I'm moving into one of your homes. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to exhaust my savings if I have to, because I'm going to try. I'm not going to my deathbed thinking, what if? What if I had just given it a year of hardcore work? Even harder core than before, but hardcore work. Smart hardcore work. So I've been taking classes. I've been reading books on marketing and writing to market and newsletters and things like this. I'm not going to be different. Growth is inevitable. I'm not going to be the same, I should say. Growth is inevitable, right? You aren't the same as you were last year. You're not going to be the same next year. I want to make sure that you're not one of those tragedies, that you're not one of the stories that we hear of somebody who was working on a book and then they fell away. The book is sitting in the hard drive somewhere, I think. Maybe it's on a thumb drive. Not anybody in this family. That's not what I want for you all. But one of the dangers about goal setting that I pushed you so hard on in episode 115, one of the dangers is if we don't carefully plot out our goals, we can overwhelm ourselves with being unfair to ourselves. We can set unrealistic goals that we're not going to be able to reach, or conditions may shift and we didn't make goals flexible enough that we couldn't meet them and still keep plugging along. If you're burned out on your writing, that's because you didn't set goals that were smart goals. You thought at the time they were, but if you've stopped writing, if you're taking a break from writing, that's because your goals didn't align correctly. They were not the right goals for you. They were at that time. No, they weren't, or you wouldn't have stopped writing. You pushed yourself too hard. You worked too hard. You lost the balance. And look, folks, I ain't perfect. Do the same thing. The same thing. Right? I'm no different. I'm speaking from experience. And hopefully helping those of you in the horrible writing family. Now, I want to share some other stories of those authors who were kind enough, authors and writers who were kind enough to share their examples in the group. Seriously, this is the kind of stuff that happens in that group. Why are you not there yet? Ruth Ducharme was talking about in January, I was still saying this year I'm going to publish my novel. 3 novels, 1 novella under my belt this year, and tons of learning and experiences in my first year as an author. How awesome is that? Anya Wilson talks about editing, writing, and business skills have gone up, leading to more sales, clients, and opportunities. Listen to what Anya says. I'm the writer January me dreamed about. Epic, right? Author Nicole Rain. Definitely not. I was simply a writer back then. Now I'm a published author. I also wasn't as focused. I knew I was going to publish, but hadn't set any concrete goals. Aw, ding, ding, ding. We have writers like Julia Maupin saying no. Now I have 2, air quotes, real job, and I'm finding it difficult to make time to write. You all know those tips, tools, and tactics I've shared over 4 seasons of this show now. This is when those have got to be kicked in. You keep your 2020 writing vision perfect, and you'll be able to adjust to things like that. Anthony Keller talked about adopted the use of outlines, but I've slowed in my writing throughout the year. 2020 is going to be my year, though. I'm going to hold him to that. And Beto Radosevich says, no, I'm tireder. Beto is quite the personality, by the way, in that group. Becky Lawson talks about, no, I published a story that took me to a very dark place as a writer. I actually scared myself writing it. While I never want to go there again in my writing, I know I can if the muse calls for that. Look at that personal growth, that personal insight, that introspection. It takes her game to another level now because she's done that. Kelly Bletchertas says, no, I think I've gotten much better about prioritizing my writing schedule. I think I've also gotten much better about finishing, capital letters, novels. And even though they need edited, I don't feel the overwhelming need to keep going back and tweaking to add and remove. I'm moving much more to a plantser, not abandoning the pantser ways entirely, but not plotting anything to death. I feel like I'm comfortable with what I've written as a whole for the first time. I've written 2 complete 80 to 110,000 word novels since November of 2018, in the faster pace ever before, and she thanks AC Ward and the Mastermind Group for the passion and keeping her moving forward. Speaking of AC Ward, she says, I look back on last year's high level of goals and wondered who that person was. For instance, one goal was posting in a writer's group once a month. I must have been such a lurker last year. It's amazing to look back and realize how far I've grown. How awesome is that? I agree with Kelly. Having others that treat my writing seriously has made a huge difference. And then I'm going to end with author M.K. Chesser, who has been interviewed on this show before. I have, but not in the ways I thought I would. I started out thinking I was headed in one direction and have now veered in another, and I believe a more healthy direction. I like being more involved here, learning with no judgment, and I can say the decision to jump in more fully has been a huge benefit. Folks, those aren't lies. Those aren't fabrications. Those aren't things I asked people to put in the group. I didn't ask them to do that. They did that of their own accord in their desire to be part of the group, the part of the discussion, to lean on that writer community that is so, so important. To have those different voices, right? Those things are so critical. If you're answering me and you're saying, yes, Paul, I am the same writer I was in January 2019, we need to have a conversation. Staying stagnant means you haven't grown, if you answered that way. Now, I'll give you a second to fill in the silence of all the excuses you've got for not growing, but the fact remains the same. You could. All of us can. There's all kinds of stories. Serious life incidents, life events, serious medical situations from people who are still growing as a writer. I know that because I talked to a ton of them at 20 Books to 50K conference in November. I know that for a fact. We do it to ourselves. We handcuff ourselves. Growth is painful. It's scary. There's a whole lot of unknown out there. And then there's that whole reality that some of you have support systems that are a little less than desirable. And I'm saying that to be a smartass because they're horrible. So find and correct those things, identify them and change them. If you allow those things to happen to you, you're allowing yourself to stay stagnant. You're allowing yourself to not grow. You're allowing yourself to not reach your goals. What kind of life is that to live? You're not going to be happy. So take your space. It's your space. Nobody else takes it from you. And get serious about perfecting your 2020 writing vision. And keep being epic.
Transcription by Renzi Lee over at Renzi Lee Freelancing. For fast turnaround times on content writing, transcription, and editing services, email Renzi at renzileefreelancing@gmail.com.
This has been Horrible Writing, and hopefully after this episode, you suck less than you did at the beginning. I am Paul Sading, your host extraordinaire. You can find me over on the Twitterverse at Writing Horrible. and over at paulsading.com/horrible-writing. Until next time, suck less.